So this last section that we're going to talk about in your notes is dealing with percent of change. And this is where we kind of take our percent problems and extend it a little bit. When we talk about percent of change, it's just another way of how to describe what happens when something goes from one state to another, meaning that it's changing. Prices change, your weight changes, certain things like that. You can talk about change just in a difference, or like I lost weight or I gained weight, or you can talk about the changes in terms of percent. It's just a different way to describe whatever's going on in the situation. So let's start with the definition. Your definition is the percent and amount changes from its original amount. Okay? So it's when something changes. So for instance, if you weighed a certain point, a certain amount 2 years ago, and then you weighed yourself today, you could say, oh, I gained or I lost, or you can use what I'm going to teach you here, and you'll say, oh, well, I've lost 10% of my original weight, or I've gained 20% from my original weight. It's just giving the same information, just with a different perspective, okay? So when we talk about percent of change, it will either be in two different categories. It will either be a percent increase or a percent decrease. Now, how are you going to know the difference? You're going to have to read the problem and comprehend the situation, what's going on. These are all going to be word problems, okay? So when we talk about percent of change, there's a certain equation that we're going to use, but you'll have to understand what goes in the equation based on what's in the problem. So here's what you put in that box. To calculate the percent of change, it's going to be equal to the amount of change. So that's how you're going to know if it's an increase, you're going to add. If it's a decrease, you're going to subtract. Divided by the original amount times, I don't know if you can see this, 100 times 100. See that? There we go. Well, there's a glare, but there it is. It's the original amount times 100. So this is going to be a number. This will be a number. Whatever you get here, it's going to be like a decimal, because you're going to divide. Then you multiply by 100, slap on your percentage, and that will be your percent of change. So every problem that we're going to do when we're dealing with percent of change is going to use this quick little formula. Okay? So let's try an example. If you turn and look at example, 5. Okay? Here's what example 5 says. The price of a pair of shoes rose from $79.50 to $87.75. So the key word, I'm going to repeat that blank. The key word is rose. The pair of shoes, the price increased. So it went from $79.50 to $87.75. Now you're like, well, when does that ever happen? Well, sometimes it happens when the demand for a shoe, becomes so popular that it started off, nobody knew about it, and it was this price. And then once, the manufacturer realized, oh, this is a popular shoe, all the teenage boys are buying it, he could increase the price because the people are going to pay for it. So he increases his price just a little bit so he can make more money. We want to know what is the percent of increase, okay? So it started off at $79.50. It rose to $87.75. So when we talk about the amount of change, what's going to happen is I need to know the difference between these two numbers. That's going to be your amount of change. So when I start setting up my equation, it's going to be that original. Well, I'm not going to say original. It's the difference, because we can't have negative percent. So it's going to be the difference between the two, the difference of change, divided by the original amount. Can y'all see that? Yes, $79.50. All right, times 100. So, calculators, yes, please go ahead and grab them if you have them. Get your iPhones, get your little calculator application there. When you subtract here, and then you divide by 79.5, and you multiply by 100, your answer, can you still see, is going to be 10.4%. So the manufacturer, the owner, whoever, the designer of the shoe, weighs the price 10.4%. So let me show you how I got that again. You're going to subtract 87.75 minus 79.5, get a number, divide it by the original, which is 79.5, and then whatever number you get, multiply by 100. You should see 10.4, and then you slap the percentage on. That's the percent increase. Okay? Now, I'm going to stop the tape, and then we're going to do the next two example problems together.